Hey guys, welcome to season 2. This is our season opener, and today we are going to be talking influence and the power that you have. And yes, we have a couple new people on, or at least one new person on.
We talk about the church, family, theology, and even entertainment. In fact, if it's Christian, we're talking about it. This is the Mike Charleston Show.
All right, welcome to, this is officially season 2. We've done this podcast for over a year. How about that, babe?
That's pretty exciting.
Yep, so this is officially season 2. As you know, we have a new intro, and we have a new person on the show, and it's not Larry. Larry is somewhere on the line, but...
Larry?
Is Larry still there?
What are you doing?
Larry, are you there?
I'm waiting for my introduction. Hey, I like that new song and the new intro.
Well, Larry's
That's
still
awesome.
here, and we got some more news coming from Larry. But then we have Sarah to my right.
Hello,
She's still in the chick chair. And we have Chuck Tate.
Hello, everybody.
Chuck Tate is joining me. He's on my left. If you're watching on YouTube, it's probably on your right, but it's on our left. So Chuck is going to be joining us this season, and we're going to try to make this work. He's going to be trying to be more of a facilitator. We'll see how that works.
Yep.
I tend to take over, but if anything, he's going to be another voice in the room, and that's kind of what we're going for. And hopefully, we'll make room on the table for a fourth, and we'll tell you that in, I don't know, a couple weeks. I don't know. Maybe we got more new things to tell you. So, Chuck, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? People might know who you are already.
Yeah, probably a number of people know who I am already who listen to the show. But so I am Chuck Tate. I am from Mississippi, just up the road, about an hour from the Charlestons. I am married to Jeannie, my wonderful wife.
The Jeannie that we always talk about.
That's
We've
right.
mentioned her 5 shows in a row now.
5 in a row. She's on a roll.
This doesn't count though. It's season 2, so you got to start all over.
We have 10 great children, 2 boys and 8 girls. So as Mike says, we got a lot of girls.
There's a lot of girls between us.
So what else?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you want anything you want us to know about Chuck, babe?
Anything I want you to know?
Yeah, I don't know. We just
Well,
we just want to introduce him. He's been a listener to the show for a while, and we thought, well, hey, let's put Chuck on and see. He's got some thoughts, and I think he can direct it a little bit. He also helps out with the shindigs that we put on and the Ohio camps that we don't put on, but his son-in-law does.
Yes, they do.
So we thought, let's go ahead and try this. What's the worst that can happen? This show is already a train wreck sometimes, so it's...
Wow.
So yeah, if you're down here with Mike at any time, you get around him and you got suggestions for the show, just be careful because
That's right.
I actually brought up the suggestion that he needed somewhat of a moderator, facilitator, and I was mentioning pushing for Joshua to be more involved and actually get him on the mic. And
yeah, but he doesn't like to do that.
Mike said, well, what about you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, all right, big boy. How about you? Okay.
Well, so do you know how long we've known Chuck, babe?
So we have known Chuck 10 years. 11 years.
11
years.
11 years. Now
Yeah.
I know.
We actually we met them at Fort Rock, the same place that we kind of reunited with the Grimms, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I forgot all about that.
We met Larry back over here at this candle.
Back over there.
Yeah, at West Virginia in 2005. And then Chuck we met at 2011 at
That's
Fort
right.
Rock.
Yep.
And
They were our noisy
They were our
neighbors.
nosy neighbor. No, nosy or noisy?
Noisy, but actually they weren't. But I know
Noisy.
Jeannie always says, were we loud? But we were probably just as loud.
Didn't remember, but no, they didn't remember. That's how unremarkable we were. They didn't remember. We had to re-meet them at a concert.
Yeah.
And at a bluegrass concert nearby, and they're like vaguely familiar, whatever. And so I was like,
I think we do a little better nowadays at actually trying to remember folks that we meet. Because
well, that's like my weakness. I'm afraid people don't remember me, and then Chuck didn't remember me. I'm like, I knew it. And, but here we are now. So I'm glad that he's on the show. Are you excited about this?
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I am.
Well, okay,
been
start
looking
doing your
forward
job.
to All right.
I'm just kidding. So anyway, so what we're going to be doing today, we just introduced, we're not going to be talking about our week because it was kind of a short week. We're going to be recording this now on a Thursday. It was a Thursday last year. And so we are going to be talking about influence, who's influencing who, the power of influence. And I think this is a pretty important topic. Don't you say?
I would say it's very important.
I got to talk into the mic. I've been doing this for 50-some episodes. I should know to talk into the mic. But when we get back, we're going to be talking about the influence. But I think Sarah has a game for you, Larry, and you, Chuck, and for me.
And I feel like a little bit Larry might be at a disadvantage.
Wow. Oh, because of the little delay?
Well, because it's like, who knew the answer first? Well, I didn't hear Larry. So
Well, yeah.
you guys are live, but
Larry's just going to have to do
We
a
just have to be
high-pitched scream.
loud.
Just go,
I have to be loud, yeah.
all right. So you ready for me to go?
Well, no, we're going to take
We're
a break.
going to do that after the break.
Yes,
Okay,
we're going to take
sounds good.
Yeah,
a
it's a
quick
break.
break. We are still doing breaks because we're going
so
to
you don't
introduce
have to
some
go
of
into
that stuff later. But anyway, okay, we'll be right back.
Thank you for listening. This is the Mike Charleston Show.
All right, we're back, and I believe at this point we're going to have Sarah's got the game for
Game
us. So,
time.
you ready, Larry?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay, so hey, I get to do that now.
What are the rules of the game?
Yeah, what's the rules? What are we doing here, babe?
Okay, so today
What are we doing?
Today we're talking about influence, and some part of that is the power of advertising. So
Yes.
I have some advertising sound clips, and I'm gonna see who knows what they are.
So we just shout them out, or what do we
Yeah,
do?
pretty much, because I won't see Larry's hand if he raises it.
And then I'll be like,
Am I right or am I right or am I
no, you're not gonna do that. I get to say
okay.
if you're right or wrong.
okay. Okay.
All right. So, and I can't stop them. So some of them.
Oh, we got to hear them all the way through? Regardless, even though we're shouting out?
Ooh, I don't know. That's pretty tricky because no, you can go ahead and shout out, but it's going to have to play all the way
So what are we
through.
supposed to shout out? We're supposed to...
The answer?
Yeah, basically, what's
the brand?
What's the brand?
What's the brand?
What's the
Oh,
brand?
that's the call. What's the brand? And that's not our friend.
Okay. All right, you guys ready?
Sure.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep,
Here is the first one.
yep. Okay, I got it. Oh.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Give me a break. Yep, Kit Kat. Boom.
Kick it, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kit Kat.
I don't know if I'm going to keep track of score. So
That's
you got
one for me.
All right.
Mike's keeping...
Okay. Next one.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I was expecting a little bit
Oh,
more.
my
This one
goodness.
is.
All right. Let me let you hear it again.
I feel like it's deodorant or something
no,
like that.
it's not.
No.
not deodorant.
No.
I know it's insurance, but I can't remember which one.
Oh, it's insurance. Yes, it is. Liberty.
Is it
Liberty.
Liberty.
It is
Oh,
Liberty.
Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about?
Who got that? Was that me?
That was you.
It was you.
Okay. What about this one?
Ooh, a dark, cloudy night. Oh, this is a movie thing. This is like DreamWorks or something like that. Oh, Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Disney.
Disney.
Walt Disney.
Disney.
When you wish upon a
Mike's
star.
That is
3-0.
loud. Disney.
All right. We might have to kick you out if you keep getting them all
That's
right.
3
Give
to
other people a
3 for
chance,
3.
okay?
I evidently was cable guy when I was a kid.
Okay. What about this
Yeah.
one?
Dude, McDonald's.
Oh, wow. That was a tie right there. Y'all said it at the same time. I don't know about you, Larry. I feel like
Did you
said
say
it too.
something?
Well, he's delayed, so maybe he make...
Maybe Joshua can figure out like which sound actually came in first. Do you know?
Yeah, he could actually. He could slow it down and actually see us and
So we're gonna have to
slow mo-
find
so
out
right
who
now
is
it's
the
like,
official.
oh, he thinks Chuck Tate got that one.
Yeah.
Do the slow-mo replay.
What did Larry say?
Oh.
Did you say something, Larry?
I said McDonald's.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
So Joshua's gonna. You think it was Chuck though?
Yeah, but it's the way, so it might give time.
Okay, so that's 4.
Okay.
How
Could have
many-
been
how
you,
do we
Larry.
have?
We have 10.
Okay, just to let the listeners, they're like bored with this
Yeah.
already.
Okay. All right. What about this one?
O'Reilly's.
Yes, auto parts.
O'Reilly's Auto Parts.
Yeah.
Catching up.
Yep, there you go. All right, what about this one?
That's a ringtone or something.
No.
Is that a phone company?
No.
Is it like it's not Microsoft or anything like this?
This isn't 20 questions. You just gotta know what it is.
Wow. I know it, but I don't know it.
It is a phone company.
Verizon.
AT&T? Oh, no, Verizon. T-Mobile?
Larry.
T-Mobile.
Larry gets a point.
You keep using the word.
Hey.
I do not think it means
I
what
said
you
I
think
have
it means.
control.
Okay.
Okay. Here's another one.
Oh, this is Century.
Universal.
Universal.
Yeah,
Universal.
whoa, Chuck was on that one.
Oh, looks like we're tied now. He's coming from
Are
behind.
you tied? You both have 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
3-3.
Wow.
3-3-1. 3-3-1.
Okay.
As we finish Universal, I feel like, ooh, where's the popcorn?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the next one.
We are farmers. Farmers insurance.
Farmers.
Boom.
Yep.
We are farmers.
Wow, that was a good one.
Okay, what about this one?
Oh, tiger. Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes, yes.
Yeah,
Show me your
Frosted
tiger.
Flakes.
Show them what you can do.
Okay, what?
I think I just took over. 5-3.
All right,
she
what
did.
about this one?
Double
Double
mint.
mint.
Double mint gum.
I think Chuck said it first.
I got
So,
the mint out.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Last one.
No, I believe there are 2 more.
How's
Oh,
that
2 more.
possible? If it was 5 to 4 to 1, that's 10.
I think somebody's scoring is off, maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, what about this one?
5.
Oh, that's oh my goodness, what is
do it
that?
again?
I know that. It's just 2 notes, and it is.
See, I thought this was absurd, but all the kids are like, "Oh yeah, that's," and they said it, and I'm like, "How do you know that?"
Yeah, that's Verizon.
No,
Is it insurance?
no,
DoorDash?
no.
I know it. Maybe I hear it too much. I just block it out. But I've heard it so many times.
What if I said it's a car?
Kia? Toyota?
No.
Honda? Oh,
Yeah.
Honda. Yes,
It
it's
is
Honda.
And everybody would say,
The
dun,
official
dun.
car.
They're like, no, it's not dun, dun, it's dun, dun. It's like, depending on the note, people are like, you have
Honda
to get
is
it right.
definitely, yes. it's-
Okay, well, you got that right.
Yes.
All
Is
right,
there more?
and I believe there's one more.
Whoa, someone
I have
doesn't
no
know how to
chance.
count, but okay. This is like
Universal
Century
or
Fox.
Fox.
Fox
Yeah.
Century, yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of
20th
movies
Century
in here.
Fox.
Yeah.
Is that the entertainment part of the show?
Hey.
That's right.
Which one was this? Is this
20th Century Fox.
Yep.
20th Century Fox? Yeah.
Or is it 21st Century
Once
now?
again, I feel like I need the popcorn.
Okay, I think that's it. I guess you're the official winner.
Yes, of course. What do I get? Sweet. What do I win? Nothing.
The knowledge that you know a lot of.
Useless knowledge.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
If that's how you want to say it.
Well, no,
You
okay.
have been influenced.
That's right. Yeah, there you
I
go.
have
You've been influenced.
And the
yeah.
reason why we did that game, I guess, is because it shows us that think about the commercials that we do out there. Immediately come to mind, like we were talking about off the air, way back in the day, if you heard, "What's up? What's up?" That's Budweiser, and not that we drink beer or anything, but we know by some of these things. So Larry was saying something earlier. What were you saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, who can still sing the song for the Big Mac?
Two all-beef patties, special sauce,
lettuce,
lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't that funny? They haven't used that commercial in probably a decade.
No, and their
yet-
sandwiches are still gross.
Yes, they are.
Well, yeah. No, what I found earlier when I was doing some research on this was in the United States in 2020, companies spent $244.7 billion on marketing services in the U.S.
Wow.
Yes, that's a lot. And because it works. Billboards work, advertising works. They want to influence us to a specific thing. So Chuck.
So if we're going to talk about the power of influence, first thing we need to know is what is influence?
What is influence? That is actually a good question. And babe, what do you have here? You have a definition, right?
I do have a definition. Well, as a noun, influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself.
So as a verb.
And then as a verb, influence is the ability to have an influence on or to affect.
Right. So you can affect something basically, right?
Right. Yeah.
That is the point of influence. And hopefully, now here's the thing that we talk about. We are going to be influenced and we influence others. And hopefully the people that influence us are going to be godly, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyway, so influence is power. I'm already taking over
He's
Chuck's
gone.
job. No, I'm sorry. Here we go. Let's start.
So yeah, the first one is influence is powerful.
And it's different than power. So influence is powerful, but yet it's different than power. So in what way? We have power is having authority to make someone do something. Influence is causing someone to think differently, which can then cause them to choose to do something. So there's a big difference. So we were just doing the game about advertising, and advertising has power. Yeah. So power is, so when I'm a parent, Chuck's a parent, I'm a parent, you're a parent. Early on in their development, it's very much more power, right? And Larry's a parent too. And
yeah, apparently.
Yeah, yes, you are. You're not here, man. It's hard to talk to you when you're not here.
I know.
So
out of sight, out of mind.
That's right. But as a parent, your first few years of their life, it's more of authority and power, and just you do this, you do that. But moving into the teenage years, it becomes more influence, or it should, at least. I think a lot of people, we kind of struggle with this, and that's where we have power struggles. A teen or a young adult wants to exert their authority, and a parent still wants to hold on to their authority. And so that's where we can butt heads sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, I think that the difference is a big deal because, like you say, power is just because I have authority, I can tell my kids to do something and they have to listen. But it's a way different story for me to influence them and for them to change their way of thinking to want to live a certain way because of the way that I've influenced them. So those are very different things.
Absolutely. And I think you're sitting in the chick chair, and we say that, tongue in cheek, but you are the chick on the show, and you are a mother. And I've always said that the mother has the most influence in the house. They create an atmosphere of the house. They direct the house. They are home most of the time. And you have such a big influence. So this really touches home for you.
Yeah, it does. It's a really big deal. And I think a lot of moms don't realize that power that they have to influence their kids and to actually shape them. And like you say, to create this atmosphere in their home. So, and I have tension, it usually spreads to the kids, and you can feel that tension all throughout the home. And when I'm joyful and lighthearted, then that spreads very easily and can change the whole way the way we work together.
Right. Absolutely does. So. Yeah, it's a big big part of the atmosphere in the home is definitely brought by the wife and the mother.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too. You look at all the old sports reels, and you see these big football players and stuff, and what do? They say, "Hi, Mom."
Yeah, right. No, that was the old. Yeah, they don't do that so much these days, but the waving and "Hi, Mom," and never "Hi, Dad." And I'm like, come on, man.
I know. I'm like, wow. The other thing that I didn't have to face because I'm old. In fact, you know what? I'm the oldest one in this group.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
I know. So you guys may not be able to relate to this, so because you're so young.
What is that? What is that, Boomer?
Yeah, I know. When I was young, everyone was worried about peer pressure, but now we have influencers on social media.
Yes, we do.
And it makes a big deal. I mean, you remember the Tide Pod? I mean, for me, that was just ridiculous.
The what's that?
But yet, remember when people were eating the Tide Pod?
Oh, the Tide Pods.
The Tide Pod challenge.
You're going to say that on my show. Now, you remember the Thorntons listen, so you really want them.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
what's the Tide challenge?
But those were influencers that they're called on social media. I'm like, we never really had that when I was a kid. So we had other issues, but
with social media these days, the influencers, quote unquote influencers, are all over the place. They are from TikTok to Instagram, all the YouTube. You have all these influencers out there that people go to and are being influenced. And hopefully this show is a great influencer for good.
So we played a game about advertising, and Larry told us, how much is spent on advertising in the United States every year. Why would they do that if it didn't work? What's the power of advertising?
Yeah.
Right. It obviously works. I know my sons, specifically Jeremiah, we talk about this a good bit. And he's like, I'm not influenced by the commercials. And yet every day he comes home and talks about the commercials on podcasts that he listens to. Or, why did you buy this? No reason. And I'm like, it's okay to admit that we're influenced.
Right.
There's just, these days, I remember when the internet first came out. And we got pop-up ads, and it was so random, things that I didn't care about. I actually like the fact that the algorithms know what I want, because I don't always get what I want, but they focus their attention to what I want. And I'm like, yes, I actually need that. Wow, how about that? We have to be aware of those influences, and then we know how to defeat those influences. But going back to what you were talking about, Chuck, the power of the advertising, it goes from to how we look, to what we wear, to what we eat, to what our houses should look like, how to meet people. I mean, you think about a commercial. I remember a commercial, and I don't know if you remember this, Larry or Chuck, or even you don't watch TV at all. But back in the day, there was this commercial for a car. I don't remember which brand. It doesn't matter because now they all do this. But it was this girl turning 16. It was her 16th birthday, and it showed her like, oh, I didn't get much for my birthday. And they're like, wait a minute, there's one more, and it's keys. And it was like a Mercedes-Benz sitting out in the driveway. And I'm like, what? So that little commercial is slowly influencing our mind what to expect for when you're 16. Yep. And now maybe parents are like, that's ridiculous. And then parents feel like now they have to buy their kids a car for their birthday. And, it slowly creeps in. It's not just something that happens overnight, but there is an agenda. There is a way of doing things. And our question is, honestly, is this godly? And are we being influenced in a godly way or in a worldly way? So that's the challenge for us.
Well, and I think when you talk about advertising and just how it's changed through the years, like when we were kids, the things that came into a home that would be advertising would be influencing our kids. I mean, pretty much we had the TV and I guess radio. But today, I feel like, especially for fathers, I think it's a much bigger deal, being that gatekeeper, realizing that your kids are being influenced, on their phones, through all the social media stuff. Right. Through everything. So it's not just a matter of what TV programs do I let them watch or what do I let them listen to on the radio. It's like through so many other ways that the devil, the world, is trying to get in and to influence our families.
Yeah. And you were, Chuck and Larry might be able to speak to this, going on what you were just saying. In what ways? You have older kids than us. You've gone through the social media when there was no social media, and then there was social media. So how did you navigate some of those waters where you have to try to be that influencer instead of letting them be the influencer?
That's an interesting question, because my background's IT.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I honestly don't like social media. It's not something I enjoy, but I understand it's there. I understand it's useful and has benefits in certain ways. It allows me to be able to keep up with my kids that are no longer at home. So I like that, and some extended friends. But, you have to, it's a lot of it goes back to being intentional about how you're going to help your children and what they're going to do. And first of all, building into them the character that they're going to want to do what's right and be able to use it in a way that's appropriate.
Sure.
But adding to that, I don't feel like I probably don't do this enough, but my wife's always saying, hey, you need to be checking in, you need to be looking. And we do need to do that. We do need to be aware of what they are taking part in, what they're viewing, what they're participating in, so that we can help them when they comes into times of struggles or temptations.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Larry, did you have a comment on that one?
Well, I was just going to say, with my kids, I told them they wanted a phone like all their friends, but I said, you can get one as soon as you can pay for it.
Right.
So by the time they were able to get one and pay for it, they were older, in their mid-teens, 15. I guess 15, 16. So, and a lot of I think they had Snapchat.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't. There weren't all as many back then as there are now. So
I'm still trying to figure out MySpace.
I don't know if Twitter was around. Yeah, that's right.
I just finished my MySpace account, and it's up and ready if you want to go check it out.
Yeah, send me a link.
That's right.
So we got a number of scriptures that to bring out about the influence and the power of influence. So.
Okay, so the first one we have is Proverbs 22:24-25. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a pretty clear message to stay away. But now that begs the question, we'll talk about this in point number 2 when we get to point number 2, is are we letting our kids around them? Are we ourselves hanging around angry people? We got to be very, very careful. But, okay, so what's our next verse over there?
All right, the next one is 1 Corinthians 15:33. Be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners.
This is the most popular one, right?
Yeah.
Everyone goes to this one.
Yep.
I didn't memorize it in the King James. I forget what I memorized. Obviously, I didn't memorize it. So, but do not be evil.
Bad company corrupts good manners.
That's how I memorized it.
Yeah.
But evil communications corrupt good manners. Go ahead, Larry.
Part of this is we think of evil communication as obviously some of the in-your-face stuff, like cursing and things like that. But I think more of the evil line is more the subtleties, like a little bit of complaining, maybe like friends complaining about their parents and how bad they are, stuff like that.
Sure. Subtle
things.
Sure.
Those things become more, in my mind, more evil than the ones that are kind of in your face and you can see them and recognize them.
Well, the things that just cause you to compromise a little and say it's not that bad, so you kind of let it go a little bit and slippery slope.
What does it say about the serpent in the garden? He was more subtle than all the beasts of the field.
He was definitely more subtle.
Yeah, that.
And maybe we shouldn't call it the chick chair. We'll call it the mom chair. You're in the mom chair because today it is all about you being a mom, huh?
Okay, well.
Okay, so which verse are we on now?
Proverbs 27:17.
It says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
This is an easy verse, as Cameron would say.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. An iron sharpeneth. I mean, we've been friends, I don't know how long, Larry, since 2005. And we've influenced each other, the good and the bad. We've had to consider all those things. The people that we surround ourselves is
right.
Okay, at what point are we going to let them influence our family? Because they're coming in often with our kids, and do they have the same values as we do? Do they have the same understanding? They don't have to be just like us, but with a basic understanding of respecting parents, and we're not trying to encourage independence, away from the parents, especially with the young ladies, and we want this kind of this unity within the people we let in our inner circles. And that's kind of what we're really, really talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just seems like all of these verses seem to make the point that the people that you hang around are going to have an effect on how you act and what you become.
Right.
So,
it's a
big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So the next one is Proverbs 13:20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed.
Boom.
So.
Yeah. Another common one, right?
Yeah.
These are good. Okay, so why don't we just finish off these Bible verses before we get to point number 2?
Okay, Galatians 5:7-9. Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth? This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump.
Yeah, so that's back to that slippery slope, letting in a little bit.
Right. Well, exactly. So this one is like, who did hit? Now, this one's a little bit more directed, I think. This one is like, who hindered you? It's asking the question. And Like, consider who's influencing you. You know, as we've been talking about elders and the positions of leadership in church, you know, we've talked about this in previous podcasts way back in the beginning, but the church has got it messed up to where you just go to Bible college, you get your degree, now you're a leader. That's not what a leader is. Someone that is a leader is someone who has gone through the battle, someone who has showed himself faithful. Those are leaders. Yeah. And those are the people that we should mark, as we talked about in our Bible study, I think a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And you mark those that are doing well and follow their example. And in that way, those are the people that are influencing for the good. And so I think that's exactly what he's talking about here is like, hey, who hindered you that you should not obey the truth here? And I think that is the big key here. Yeah.
And that's very good lead into point number 2, which is who's influenced you or what is influencing you?
Absolutely. So who is influencing who or what? So I don't know, Chuck, what do you think?
I think that everybody influences everybody.
That's right. Well, that's a good point, honestly, because if you don't think you're influenced, you're a fool. You have to understand that you are influenced. It's just you should choose who is influencing you. So that's actually a good point. That
and you also need to realize that if you don't think you're influencing somebody,
that's right.
You are.
Yeah. That's a good point too.
Right.
So specifically, let's go with friends. What do we think about friends? Now, as we get older, Larry doesn't have any friends. So
no.
No, he told me that
the
one.
Truth is the truth.
He told me, he's like, I don't have a life. I don't have any friends. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but it's good to have friends. But as children, as we're raising our children, it's important to watch out their friends.
Yeah. I mean, we look at young people and it's easy to see the influence of friends. You know, you think about kids hanging out and they all start acting the same, dressing the same, talking the same way.
Right.
You know, so it's easy to see with kids, but all of us are affected by the people that we allow in our inner circle, if you want to call it that. The people that are closest to us are going to affect us.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I know we always remind our kids whenever we're going to an event or we're going to be somewhere, we remind them, you know, are you the one that's going to be setting the example, or are you going to be the follower?
Yeah, you're going to be a leader.
It can be either way,
right?
And it's up to you to decide which one you're going to be.
Yeah,
Larry, you're saying something?
Yeah, this is one of the dangers of public education, because you take kids and you surround them with all their peers of the same age, and they don't get a chance to interact with older people, like adults. And I think that's why, like homeschoolers, if you put them in a setting where a bunch of public school kids, they look like outcasts, but actually they're more well-adjusted because they're used to dealing with younger siblings and older adults, and they have a better handle on things. So they're not influenced just by their peers. The other thing is, we don't outgrow this, at least in my opinion, I don't think. I think throughout our lives, we need to have somebody that we feel is a little bit above us.
Okay, sure.
I mean, it's good to have friends that you're on your level, but to have somebody that you look up to, sort of like a mentor or something, that you can strive to be like them, that's somebody that influences you, should be to the good.
Yes, right.
And
someone that you can respect.
We don't really outgrow that. We need that.
Absolutely.
Even as adults. So it's having influence in your life, a godly role model is extremely important.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ, because he was following Christ and he was setting the example so others could follow him.
Absolutely.
So what about the influence of parents or other family members? Yeah,
so you made this point there, babe. So what exactly were you, and I'm calling Sarah babe. So what exactly were you meaning by the influence of parents and family? Like, from which perspective were you thinking?
Well, really, kind of like Chuck said, we're all influencing each other. And so parents influence their kids, obviously, tremendously through the 20 or so years that you're raising them. But your kids are also influencing each other. And sometimes kids can influence their parents, they can.
In rare cases, yeah. Well, and if they rule the home, that's for sure.
Right.
The family aspect is a very interesting one. Now, I moved away from my family. They're 1,000 miles away. We hardly see them, and so we just don't see them that much.
Right.
Your family was here, and they all moved away, but for a while they were here. Family can be a problem. Now, Chuck, they live right next to you, right?
We do.
And you're not going to rat them out or anything, but family is an interesting influence.
It's definitely an interesting dynamic. Especially if you have multiple generations in a close proximity, like you're talking about,
right?
Because you have so many. Everybody has their own needs. Everybody has their own desires, and you have to find a balance there. How's that interaction going to take place? It's very it can be difficult at times, but it's also very good to be able to have that unit around you.
Yep.
I actually think of also in marriage, I think husbands and wives can have tremendous influence on each other, which is why, even where it talks about the unbelieving husband can be won by the behavior of the wife.
Yeah. So. The husband absolutely influences the house. If he's the leader of the house, he's going to have influence. But don't sell yourself short, lady. Women have great influence because guys will do whatever to please a woman. And not exactly, but you do have that influence. And I've told a lot of people, like, these ladies will say, my husband just won't do this. Well, I'm like, well, how did you get him to do the thing that you wanted him to do early in marriage? Figure it out. You knew what you're doing. So parents and family are a big influencer.
Yeah. Another influencer I have on the list is books.
Books.
Which maybe are fading away, I think. I don't know how many people read anymore. But
I don't know what books are, man. And that didn't happen. Oh.
You keep using the word.
Yeah.
I don't think it means what you think it means.
Well, but there are people who read books or listen to books.
Yes.
And obviously the books that you read are having an impact on your life, whether you want them to, whether you think they are, or you think you're immune to it. The books are affecting you.
Do you want to do that quote now?
Okay,
Might as well do that quote now. We were saving that for later, but it makes sense now.
Yep. So this is a quote by Charlie Tremendous Jones.
Is, if you give me a nickname, call me Tremendous. That is awesome. How did he get that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Charlie Tremendous Jones, which Dave Ramsey uses this all the time also.
Oh, okay.
But Charlie Tremendous Jones is the quote that he gets it.
Okay. He says, you will be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. And I would say, and the podcasts you listen to.
That's right, the podcasts you listen to.
That's right.
Also, it kind of goes to everything, the things that basically you let in your life are going to change you.
Yeah, they influence you no matter if you think that they don't. Now, obviously, there are certain books you do for research.
Sure.
Like you want to learn. If I'm reading books on atheists, I'm not going to become an atheist, but I want to know what they think about.
Yeah.
If I'm reading a book on certain theologies or something, I'm not going to become that. But you might want to be careful.
Right.
It depends on how influenced you are.
Yeah, there's a saying. You guys can finish it.
Okay.
The pen is...
I didn't even hear that first part.
I think he said the pen is.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
That's right. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah.
Because the written word has power.
It does.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
It's an influence on us.
So you see kids that read, all these certain fantasy books or Harry Potter or whatever, and you just can tell it starts to affect the way that they live, the way they talk, whatever. So,
Sure.
books do play a big part. So
Got to be careful. That is for sure. So books are a good one.
Yeah, so and more so in today, TVs and movies.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
kind of taking the place of books, right?
Yeah, kind of taking that and podcasts.
That's right. So
YouTube.
So this one, TV and movies. So Larry, go ahead.
You left one off.
What's that?
Music.
Okay. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
How do you know it's all? Oh, because you have the notes. That's right. I was like, how do you know where we are? That's right. I gave you notes. So TV and movies, a huge influence, obviously. And I'm actually very careful with this. I tell my kids many times, and they're doing a bad job of it lately because they're adults now. And there's certain things that we will watch as a family that I'm like, don't tell people. Not that we're embarrassed, right? Because I don't know how they're going to take it. How if this is good for their family. or what. So we want to be very careful what we suggest. There was an incident in our fellowship years and years ago that someone was telling us, because we like to watch period pieces because I'm married and I have a wife, so we watch period pieces. so things like Pride and Prejudice and all those things. I've actually enjoyed them. I really do. And there was one. It's called Downton Abbey. Everyone knows what Downton Abbey is?
I know of Downtown Abbey. I've never seen it.
Okay, he calls it Downtown Abbey. I like it because that's what it should be, right? But so we heard of Downton Abbey, and it was like, okay, everyone in our church was like, you should watch it. If you like Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility and all these weepy women movies, you should really watch Downton Abbey. And I was like, well, why not? So because of the church people, we didn't even really check it out. We go to the library, we get the DVDs, we put in the first season, first episode, and it's going along, and I'm kind of bored, actually. It wasn't that great. And at the end of the first episode, there's a homosexual encounter, and they actually are kissing. Like, this is not just like an innuendo where some of these British, movies, it's like, okay, they got this guy. No, it was so blatant. And it was like, whoa, we actually had to stop it. And I'm like, what is this? We had to go look up online. Is this what it's going to be about? And we had to make a choice at that moment. Are we going to just go through? And I said, you know what? This is not that good anyways. I really don't care about it. So let's just shut it off and be done with it. But we have to be careful that if you are saying, hey, this is good stuff, and other people are like, well, if Mike Charleston says it or Chuck Tate says it, then it must be good. Mm-hmm. Just like the Grimms, when we said a certain series was good to watch, and they watched, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, the Charleston! There's no way they would watch this." It's like, sorry.
Yeah, I never did see that. Pam started to watch. I don't even know. I don't remember.
Yeah, don't say it because I don't want people to know.
Everybody's going to go check it out.
That's right.
Mike, the Charlestons watch that.
But it wasn't that bad. It was just they were kissing and whatever. And she was like, "There's no way the Charlestons would watch." I'm like, "We believe in kissing."
Well, I was going to say with the music, this is a funny story. I'm going to tell on myself, but I like a lot of different music, and sometimes working, I get tired of listening to different things. I used to listen to a lot of talk radio, and so I put on the oldie station because that's kind of the music I grew up with. Kind of like it a little bit, but I noticed after a time, it was affecting my attitude and certain things I was thinking about. I'm like, where is this coming from? And then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm spending several hours a day putting this in my mind, not realizing. With some of these old songs, when you start listening to the lyrics, you're like, oh, wait a minute, what am I saying?
Right. That's a good point.
Listening to this?
No, that's a really good point. So, we didn't put that down because we're not influenced by the music here.
You're
just
not
kidding.
as seasoned as I am.
No, but you're influenced, good or bad, right? You're influenced, so that's a really good point. We didn't put that one down, but no, music is huge. Young people, old people love music. We all like music, right? And you are influenced.
Think about what changed our culture was they call it the British invasion.
Yep.
The Beatles in the 60s. And even Elvis Presley, when he first appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, they only showed him from the
waist up.
I think like the chest up.
Right.
And his music had a tremendous influence. It changed our culture between him and the Beatles and a few others.
Yeah.
Completely changed our culture. That influence of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What were you going to say, babe?
So,
I was just saying, you were talking about TV and movies, and you're talking about like recommending things to people.
Sure.
But which is obviously true, but it's also just what you watch. Not even recommending anything.
That's a good point.
The shows that I choose to watch, the movies I choose to watch, are shaping the way I view. I know for me growing up watching sitcoms, I knew what marriage was like because, I saw how they acted on all the shows. So I'm like, oh, so that's what it's like.
Yeah, Leave It to Beaver, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah. But so a good point with this one because there's certain movies early on in our marriage that I'm like, what's wrong with this? I mean, yes, it's got some cursing in it. It's got this and that, but what? We're adults, right? We can handle, it's not big time stuff. And then I realized, you know what? I'm the protector of my home. My wife isn't out in the workplace hearing all this stuff, and I'm used to it, which, you know, is shame on me to just be like, well, I'm so used to it. I don't use these words, so it's not affecting me, is it? Well, but she's out there. My kids aren't out there. Why am I exposing them to it? And so I really had to think about, okay, and do I really need this? You know, that was the question. It's like, really, do I need to watch this movie? And I'm like, you know what? I could do without. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
So in addition to music, we have the social media. We brought that up earlier. We got Facebook, Twitter.
Everything. And this is a challenge for us because it's ever changing.
Absolutely.
I mean, when we first had kids, we didn't even have cell phones. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And now our kids have cell phones, and well, not ours, but the grown ones do. But there's so many different avenues to explore out there and influence you, and this is a big one. This one's huge, and you want to be connected in some ways. Don't be afraid of it. You know, there's some people out there who will teach just, I don't have any time for that stuff. Well, you better make time because your kids are all over
They're
it.
going to be there.
So this is a big one.
And, you know, when do you decide when is it appropriate to allow them to start being in that, you know, participating? That's another big decision to be made of when do you let that influence enter their life, because it is part of our culture. It is part of the world, and it's going to be there. It's going to continue to be that way.
That we can't change it. No, and it's one of those tough issues that as adults we're going to have to grow into and figure out. And maybe you do say we're just going to cut it off. Well, that's your choice. That's your, you know, if that's the way you think you need to do it. And there's certain ways, certain times where you have to, where you let them have access and it got bad and you just have to pull back and you're just like, no, we need to cut everything off right now and then work back into it. But this is a tough one. This one is, I don't have great answers on. I mean, our kids, we didn't let them on social media. We don't let them on social media until they're 18. And some people are like, I can't believe that. At least I think so. I don't know. Okay, right? And so this is, you know, I can't believe you won't let your kids on. Some of them didn't even want to be on. I think I had to help Rebecca get on. I'm like, please, you're promoting your movie. You know, which, by the way, if you want to watch her movie, you can go to her YouTube channel and watch it. It's available every step. It's great. Anyway, shameless plug. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and take a quick break? We'll finish off. We got one little point left, and then we'll recap, and then we'll end it. But let's take a break and let's come back.
You've been listening to the Mike Charleston Show.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to the podcast today. If you want to be a part of the show, go ahead and email us at talk@fellowshipofbelievers.org. That is talk@fellowshipofbelievers.org. Leave us a comment, a question, whatever you want to do. Please participate with the show. Thank you.
We are back, and we're going to finish it off with this segment of the question of...
Well, before we finish that, Chuck, I got a question for you.
Oh, for me.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is your first episode. How do you think it's going?
I don't know. I'm waiting to hear from the consultant. That's the thing I've been dreading
the consultant,
for weeks. What's the consultant going to say?
He's like, he's got a new piece of meat. He's like, oh, okay, let's devour this thing. I'm sure we'll hear from the consultant, but we've had a lot of edits, so I'm going to be curious how this. There's a lot of adjustment, that's for sure. And my wife actually caused the biggest edit, but that's all right.
Sorry.
He just threw you under the bus.
Just
like
there.
Wow.
Yes. But anyway, so I think Chuck's doing a good job. But anyway, carry on.
So the last point we wanted to talk about is who are you influencing, and is your influence good or bad?
Yeah, so let's make it personal. Nice. This is where we can obviously, we've already talked about those other things that are influencing us. But are you an influencer? Are you going to be a leader? Are you going to be a follower? And we're all followers in some way, and we're all leaders in some way. Some people are obviously more of a leader than others. But this is one of those topics that requires us to stop and think and look at ourselves in the mirrors and examine ourselves, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And so test ourselves. So here's one of those times. So why don't you go ahead, babe?
2 Corinthians 13:5 says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ in you, except ye be reprobates.
Now, this isn't exactly talking about like necessarily influence, but you examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith. Now, I don't know how often you guys do this. I don't like examine if I'm in the faith. I'm pretty sure I'm in the faith at this point in my life, but you still examine yourself. Like, what am I doing? Is this good for me? Is this good for my family?
Correct.
Larry, Chuck, why don't you go ahead and talk about some of those things in your lives where you have to adjust? And sometimes we can get just coasting, right?
We can. And for guys, fathers, guys in general, we like coasting.
Yes,
that's easy.
Everything's going good.
It's going good.
Don't mess with the apple cart.
But as soon as you start coasting, things turn around real quick.
They can.
It is very. It's one of the things I tell younger men oftentimes, that the lesson I've learned is being intentional.
Yes.
If you're not intentional, it's not going to happen. If you think it's going to happen and you're not planning for it and intentionally working towards it, it's not going to happen. So,
Absolutely.
We always have to adjust. We always have to look at the surroundings and what's going on in our home, what's going on in our family, and be able to adjust to those things in a way that's going to bring what we want, to bring about the fruit that we want to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about from the mom's perspective?
Well, I was going to say, as a mom, it's definitely something I look at. Sometimes you see behaviors in kids that you don't like, and maybe not always, but I try to always look at myself and see, is this something they're learning from me? Because oftentimes, especially when they were young, when they would have certain behaviors, I'd realize, wow, they probably saw me do that.
Exactly. Well, that's where the mirror comes in. So sometimes our kids are a perfect mirror of ourselves. It's 153, babe. And so they're perfect reflection sometimes. We're like, that thing aggravates me so much. And then your wife's like, that is exactly you, babe. And you're like,
Well, and that's
I'm
where
getting it now.
That's where
That's so true.
We are influencing our kids, and sometimes you wish there was like a on-off button where it could be like, okay, not right now. Don't watch me. Don't, follow what I'm doing here. But you don't have that option to have an on-off switch. It's like they're watching you. They're going to mirror
no edits.
you. No, there's not. So.
Yeah. Where's that rewind button? Undo. The undo button.
That would be
nice.
Wonderful in life to have the undo button.
That would be nice.
So we have another verse, Matthew 5:13-16.
Okay, it says, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven."
So once again, you added this verse, babe, and so why don't you talk on it first? It's like, okay, so...
Okay, well, because I think that we are to be light and we are to be salt, so we are to affect those around us. And you think about eating food without salt, I know you don't like that at all. So
Food without salt? No way.
So we are to...
Let's talk about food again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to be affecting those around us.
Well,
and we
let's
are,
change
whether
it.
we
I was
like
going to
it or
say,
not.
we are affecting.
That's exactly.
Yeah, well, exactly. We don't have that choice. Like I said, no on-off button. So we
Right.
are affecting. And so hopefully...
But is it in a godly way?
Right, hopefully...
Yeah, it's like the scripture says, a city that's set on a hill cannot be hid.
Yeah.
We're there.
Yep.
Right.
Our kids are watching us 24/7.
Yep.
Right.
All the time, and they're picking up from us. The old phrase goes, more's caught than taught, right?
Absolutely.
So it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
No, it is, and that's the tough part. That's where the examination comes in. It doesn't get easier as you get older. It's like just when you think, okay, I'm saved, everything's good, I'm married, I've got a good family, but there's still work that has to be done. You still examine yourself. Am I influencing my children? Now, you have a strange time in your life when kids are like 16, 17, 18. They start to become adults. By the time they're 20, they are adults pretty much. I mean, some are mentally not there, but for the most part, they are adults. And at that point, I can't necessarily just tell them what to do.
No, it's more of a being available to them, being somebody that they hopefully by that point we have become someone that they trust, where they can come when they have questions.
We are the influencer.
It's the influencer. We are the influencer, but we can no longer say this is what you have to do, because that doesn't work at that age. And we wouldn't want it to. I mean, the ideal is when children grow up, we want them to be able to stand on their own.
Absolutely.
That's what our goal is, for them to be independent and be able to stand.
I do not want to tell them what to do 50 years from now.
No.
Right. Well, but back to your question, though, what is an influence? Just a second, Larry. I'll get right back to you. Who are you influencing? First and foremost, your children. So it's like even when they're out of the house, you still have that influence, and you have hopefully the biggest influence. They would go to you and say, "Oh, Mom, Dad, I'm struggling with this decision." You still have that influence if you raise them right. Larry, why don't you go ahead? I hate to interrupt. You're not here, man. It's hard to see when you're ready to talk.
I know. I had my hand raised.
Oh, okay.
No, but you talk about parents and stuff. You mentioned as your kids get older, it's that difference between having power over,
right? Because
the difference between power and influence, when they're younger, you have power over them. But as they get older and you train them and stuff, your position changes to more having an influence, to have an impact, rather than, because you can't, like you said, you can't tell them what to do, and nor should you.
Right.
It's got to be their decision. But hopefully you've built trust that they'll come to you and ask you questions and hopefully discuss things, and you have some kind of influence.
Yeah, well, and one thing we didn't talk about, and we kind of talked about a little bit, but is church. And I think with church, you have an influence in the institutional style churches where you have the one man running the show. It is his way or the highway. It is. This is what we do. We're a denominational church. You follow the program. You do it this way. Well, there's some influence there. There's no doubt. I mean, the churches have been around for almost 2,000 years. So it has a great influence. Look at the world. But what is the proper influence? Jesus, when he talked about leadership, he said that the rulers of this world, and this is Mike's translation, the rulers of this world lorded over the subjects or people, but this is not to be you. If you want to be ruler, you are servant of all. And so, our perspective, in church work especially, is that you are a servant. You help people. You are wanting to be available for those. Be faithful. Show yourself that you know what you're doing, and be available, and to love on people. And I think that is where that influence comes in. People, even in the big churches or the institutional churches, everyone was afraid to go to the pastor unless it was just absolutely necessary. But there was those other people in the church that they would go to because they knew they were the real deal. Right. And I think that is really important too. So if you're out there and you want to influence people in the church, just realize that. Be yourself. Be a Christian. Be loving. Be kind. Be gentle. Be all these things, and people will eventually be like, "Hey, man, there's something different about you because you are a leader." But anyway, so we are getting close to the end time. So what do we have here, Chuck?
Got a couple of quotes. First one's from Adrian Rogers.
Yeah. You know him?
I do know Adrian.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know the next one.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
So Adrian had, it is more important to influence people than to impress them.
Oh, boy. If people could just get that.
Yeah.
We so, and I'm guilty of this at times. I'd be like, oh, man, I could just impress them here. They don't care. They don't. I remember in Bible college, or actually it was my youth pastor. I think it was my youth pastor. He said, people don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's a good lesson.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson right there. Yeah. And this is Larry's part of the show. He likes quotes. So we got one more for you, Larry.
This is from
I don't know who this is.
You don't know this one either, huh?
No, me neither. I hope it's a Christian. So I don't know. He's a Satan worshiper here.
Well, this one is maybe somebody that's listening will know David Mackey.
Yeah.
Children are more influenced by sermons you act than by sermons you preach.
Right.
Absolutely.
So basically what you were saying earlier, more is caught than taught.
Right.
The sermons that are the loudest are the ones that you live out.
Yeah.
Instead of the ones you just pound away with your words. those are important. Don't get me wrong. What you say is obviously important, but how you live is way more important. Are you a person of love? Are you a person that cares? Are you a person that sacrifices? I think people can see that. And so anyway, that is that. Larry, did you have anything else, a quote that you had?
No.
No quote off the top of your head?
Good.
Okay. You were the quote machine last time.
I know. I used to tell my kids that, it doesn't matter what you say, it's what you do, because I could say I'm Superman, but until you see me fly through the air or stop bullets with my chest, it doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless.
Right.
It really is about what you do, and especially what your kids see you do, because they're going to hear what you say and they're going to compare that to what you actually do. I had a conversation with one of my sons the other day, and he goes, "It's kind of funny because he's like, it makes me mad because you've been so consistent that I can't say anything negative about it." What we were talking about, it kind of fits into what we're talking about now is, the way the churches have been operating and the expectations parents put on their children.
Right. And
I didn't have any of that. I didn't have it then, and I don't have it now. And he goes, "You don't know how aggravating that is to me because now I can't say I don't have an excuse that you lived you were contradictory."
Right.
I'm like,
right.
Well, I didn't.
Well, that's kind
I
of.
didn't mean to cause problems for you. That's just trying to live what I believe.
Well, that's the goal. We want to be consistent, and as much as possible. Obviously, we are not always consistent, but for the most part. So,
I don't have a quote, but I can. There's a book that is one of my favorites on this particular subject.
Okay.
Y'all know Dale Carnegie?
Yes.
Yeah,
How to Win
Friends and Influence People.
Yes,
That is a
really
good book.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I have read it before. I think Jeremiah's read it before. Mm-hmm. He's still working on Winning Friends. Sorry. Oh, man. And just like that, Larry's gone. So, anyway. Larry? What's going on?
What are you doing?
Where is Larry? That's all right. Don't worry about it. He's off the show.
Well, I think the one thing that when I think about influencing and the influence we have, I feel like my prayer is that I could say, "Follow me as I follow Christ."
Right.
To our kids, to people in the church, to whoever might be watching something I do. That's my prayer, is that I will point people to Christ.
Yes, walk in integrity. Yeah. I think we all are in agreement on that. So, Chuck, this is your first episode. Any last thoughts before we get off?
No.
Okay.
I'm blank now. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're on the show. I know it's going to take some adjustment. I feel like midway we kind of switched spots, but I'm so guilty of that, and maybe it's just going to happen. I don't know. I'm working on it, and you're going to work on it
absolutely.
too. So, absolutely. But it's I think it's fine. I think people are going to enjoy Chuck being on the show. He's going to try to be on as often as possible.
Yeah.
And that is the plan for season 2. So I hope that you guys enjoyed season 2. Oh, he's got one more thing.
I got my job to do.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Remember the consultant had one thing he said we needed to do?
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Chuck. Put us back on. That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
Point number one.
Point number one was that influence is powerful. And there's a difference between power and influence. So just know the difference. But influence is power.
And the second was who's influencing you or what's influencing you.
Yep, whether it's friends,
parents, books, social media, what's out there, what's going on.
And number 3.
Who are you influencing?
Yep.
And is your influence good or
Look in
bad?
the mirror.
Take a look. Examine yourself and see, because people are looking, they're watching.
Thank you for remembering. So our consultant, we recapped. And if you're watching on YouTube, if I had a Sharpie and I don't, I could recap. But anyway, that is it for the show, and we will see you next week. So thank you for listening.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the Mike Charleston Show.